like, subscribe, and leave a comment. How's everyone doing today? Thank you for another review, for joining me for another review of Raw and Smackdown week commencing the 20th of March. Like, subscribe, and leave a comment. Thank you very much. So it starts with KO coming out, and he basically calls out his buddy Sami Zayn to come out with him to the ring. And basically, they was out there propping each other up because the crowd was chanting their names. And basically, Sami Zayn saying that KO was saying that Sami Zayn outgrew the bloodline, and he's too good for the bloodline. Then the Usos came out, which led to, and then started having a back and forth, obviously, which led to KO laying down a match for WrestleMania for the tag team championships, which Jey Uso accepted, and then obviously turned into a big brawl. I did say previously that this match was going to happen. You're welcome. Then he showed the clip of Roman Reigns turning up with Solo and Paul H, so we know he's at the arena. First match was Montez Ford versus Theory in a really good match, but in the end Theory wins. Then he basically calls out John Cena, basically says he's going to respect him, he's going to beat him. But on the back end, I reckon Montez Ford is going to be a single star in the future. Then we had a bloodline in the back with Jimmy saying he's angry at Sami Zayn for turning on him. Then Roman says he wants everybody to leave the room except Jey. Then Roman, then goes to another break, then goes back to Roman. And Roman saying how he had to beg his brother to find Jey. And he asked, and like basically saying, Jey, what's going on? Jey goes, his bloodline is with the team. And Roman says he loves him to Jey. But Jey didn't say anything and Jey left. So I think something's going to happen there, because Jey didn't say back to Roman that he loved him back. So I see something happening there. Then we had Chasey Green and Piper having a go at Adam Pearce, saying they want to be in the women's showcase match at WrestleMania, so we'll see what happens there. Then we had a match, Omos versus Ali, in a squash match. And MVP basically called out Brock Lesnar, saying he's scared, so we'll see what happens there. Then we had Logan Paul coming out with his impulsive, well, he didn't come out so far, he was walking to the ring, he ran into the Miz because he's about to do his impulsive show live on Raw, and he basically said to Miz, "No, we don't want to interview you, see you later." Then Logan Paul comes out, he starts ripping the crowd because obviously he's now a heel, and then basically just talk about how he beat down Seth Rollins, how the crowd doesn't respect him even though he's done all his accomplishments, but he doesn't care because he just does what he wants. And then he just keeps showing the clip of him knocking out Seth Rollins all the time. Then Seth Rollins basically comes down, presses his music from the backstage because he stops Logan using the mic, comes down and basically attacks Logan Paul. So yeah. Then we had another match, Johnny Gargano versus Dominic, and Dominic wins due to some interference, obviously from the Judgment Day. Then we had Roman saying he wants to talk to Solo. Well, that was outside Roman's room. Paul H said to the Usos, go home, but he wants Solo to stay here. So we'll see what happens there. Then we had Edge basically calling out Finn Balor. Edge is basically talking about how vindictive he can be within the Hell in a Cell. So we will see what happens there. He mentions multiple biblical people and items and figures, and how he's going to, what things he's going to do to Finn. So he's going to biblical stuff and that, so we'll see. Then we had Rhea Ripley come out, basically calls out Charlotte Flair, said she's going to be the biggest star, she's going to beat Charlotte Flair. Then the Damage Control come out, and Bayley calls out Rhea Ripley. So then you have Bayley versus Rhea Ripley in a really good match. But then the trio of Becky, Trish, and Lita come out. But in the match, Rhea Ripley does beat Bayley quite convincingly, in fact, with a riptide. Then we had Gable saying he needs to find Otis. Well, Gable needs Otis with him in the back. As he's talking to him in the back, saying he needs him ringside when he's having a match. Otis is there getting modelled up. So, yeah. Then we had a movie scene with the Brutes, Drew and Sheamus. Quite funny. Go and watch that if you haven't seen it. Then we had Gable versus Ricochet in a really good match, which Ricochet won, but really good match there. Then you had Bianca Belair and Asuka versus Piper and Chelsea in a really solid tag team match with the ladies. But in the end, the female John Cena, Bianca Belair, wins, and then she gets attacked by Asuka, so Asuka's basically turned heel on her. Then in the main segment, Roman Reigns comes out with Paul Heyman. Before we could even say anything, Cody Rhodes comes out. Cody Rhodes and Roman start to get personal. It always gets personal and slightly real when it becomes to WrestleMania. Roman started calling out Cody Rhodes, talking about he runs away from everything, run away from being Stardust. He ran to another company, but he runs away from the company when he couldn't get over. And then Cody Rhodes retaliates by saying, yeah, I did go to another company, but I made everybody who was wrestling there a lot of money, but now he's back. And basically, he wants his titles, and he wants his titles, and how Solo is not ready yet. And that sort of struck with Solo. Solo was going to attack Cody, but Roman Reigns stopped it. So that was Raw, which was really good. Go and watch, I haven't seen it. Then we go into SmackDown. It was Cody Rhodes versus Ludwig Kaiser in a really good match. Cody Rhodes won. After the match, Paul H comes out and says Cody will face Solo on Raw. And Cody says he's not ready. He's not ready yet, and nor is Roman. Just to let everyone know, Roman Reigns' reign is now 936 days. No pun there intended there. Then Charlotte Flair comes out and says she respects Rhea, but she's basically going to beat her. So that's what she basically said. Then we had Rey Mysterio versus LA Knight. Really good match from the two, but in the end, there was some interference by Dominic, and it cost Rey the match. Then Dominic started badmouthing his mum and his sister, which led Rey Mysterio to snap, and he struck Dominic and accepts his match at WrestleMania. So we'll see what happens there. Then we had Lacey Evans and Xia Li versus Natalya and Shotzi in a really good match, which Shotzi won. Then we had Drew and Sheamus and Gunther all in the ring to do the contract signing for the triple threat match at WrestleMania. They all signed a contract, and obviously, yes, it turned into a brawl, you guessed it. And then we had Butch versus Gunther, because basically Butch was going after Gunther in the ring when he was trying to sign the contract, and obviously Gunther won. Then we had Street Profits in the back talking about WrestleMania. Then Ricochet turns up with Braun, calling out the Street Profits, basically, because the Street Profits started making fun of bold people. So that WrestleMania, it looks like it's going to be a 4-way match between 4 teams. I'm not sure that's going to be the kickoff show match, or it's going to be on the main card. But yeah, should be really good. Then we had the Andre the Giant Battle Royal been announced. But there's one thing I noticed on it. If you look closely on the advertisement of it, you got Bobby Lashley in the front. Where is Bray? What's going on with... I thought Bray was going after Bobby. What's happening there? I think it's been squashed. Hopefully Bray's okay. I have no idea what's happening. Then we had the KO show with Sami Zayn and KO. Basically, KO got Sami Zayn a new t-shirt, which is called WrestleZania. So that's pretty cool. And then obviously they were both jumped by the Usos. So a really good show for Raw and SmackDown. Go and watch them if you haven't seen them. But like, subscribe, and leave a comment.